Hello, geography travel planners. Today's podcast is going to be all about walking you through step 4 of your research. I hope that all of the other steps have been pretty self-explanatory so far, but this one can get a little bit tricky, so I'm just going to show you how to navigate some of these websites and what to do once you're there in order to find the answers. So just like you've been doing previously, you are going to be researching online to find information about your specific country so you can help us know what to do and what not to do when you're traveling to a place. This one is specifically about safety and security. So you're taking notes on if someone were to travel here, if you were to go here, how could you make sure that you're staying safe from conflicts, from wars, from diseases, anything like that that's going on in a certain area. So as always, you will be looking at these questions right here that are italicized, and that's where you're taking notes is guided from. So you're using these as guiding questions to take notes on down here below. And then just like always, you'll link the sources that you used right here, and we'll get into that later. So if you'll notice, all of these questions are about some type of conflict. It's about, is there any kind of migration issues happening? About what kind of documents or fees that tourists have to have. Do you have to have a passport to get somewhere? Do you have to pay some kind of legal fee? Is there a certain amount of time you can spend so that you don't become an illegal immigrant, which we all know about from our illegal immigration essay? And then any kind of safety tips that the websites provide. My advice to you is that link B is probably going to be your best friend because it kind of has all the information in a pretty consolidated sort of way. So I would use link B first and start with it. And then if you need to, you can totally use the other links. You can look up things on your own too, but these links are going to be the best. And in my opinion, B is the very best one to use. So I would start there and you should be able to answer most, if not all of these questions just with using that. And then again, remember the questions are kind of a place to start from, but if you find something interesting that you kind of want to delve more into, by all means, go into that too. So this is where link B will take, oh no, that was A. This is where link B is going to take you. And again, this is the one I would recommend doing first. You're going to go to where it says learn about your destination, and you can just type in whatever your country is. Let's say that we are traveling to Colombia. And it's going to tell you, obviously right now, all of you guys are going to get a message like this. You're going to get something about COVID because it has impacted the entire world at this point. That being said, you can obviously include it because certain places have been more impacted. Maybe your country is a little bit more remote, not as much of a tourist destination, and it hasn't been affected. Or maybe the worst of it has already gone through your country at this point, and it's not that bad. Or maybe it's terrible in your country, it's kind of in the peak of it right now. So you can include information about COVID. Don't make that the only thing that you include though. There are still other things happening in these places that are important to know about besides just COVID. COVID's obviously the easiest one because we all kind of know about that one already. But if you look into some other things, this kind of tells you what kind of vaccines you might want to have before going, how long tourists can stay, what you need on your passport, if you need a passport, all of that kind of stuff. So again, it goes a little bit more into detail here about how you get into the country, how you leave the country. It gets into where embassies are. So the US embassies are in most countries and they protect you. You can go there if you're having any kind of emergency. There's safety and security. So things like terrorism going on in that country, crime, robberies, any sort of drug issues, crime victims, anything like that, right? It even has a tourism section that kind of tells you what you should be looking out for. They also have things about health, right? So what kinds of things that you might run into. For example, it looks like dengue fever, malaria, those are kind of common diseases you might come into contact while you're in Colombia. So definitely you could type in some facts about that. Going to some of the other websites, this is where you're taken to if you do link A. So we'll go to Colombia again, and you'll see a lot of the same information sort of come up again. But if you go down here, it tells you a little bit all about your country, right? So if you go to military and security, you can kind of see what's the military doing right there. Is there anything terrible? You can see stuff about terrorism. You can see things about transnational kind of things, so anything about drugs, refugees, any kind of big international conflicts that are happening you could choose to write about. And finally, link C is going to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control. So we'll go to Columbia again, and this is going to be where we focus on illness. So again, COVID will be talked about here. Don't just mention COVID, mention other things too. Oh, right here it's saying there's a dengue fever outbreak right now, so travelers should definitely be aware of that and kind of know how to avoid that sort of thing, right? It's again talking about COVID-19. They tell you about things you might want to be vaccinated for, all of that kind of stuff. So that is basically how you're going to go through and do the research. As you are finding the answers to these questions, go ahead and type them into here, link your sources there, and that should get you through. Have a great day, guys.